When you hear the word hospitality, what pops into your head? Probably a friendly hotel, right? Or maybe a cozy little bed and breakfast. But what if I told you that the business of making strangers feel welcome is one of the oldest, most regulated industries in all of human history? Yeah, let's uncover the real story.
Okay, so let's start with the basics. The Oxford English Dictionary gives us this very official-sounding definition. It's about receiving and entertaining guests. Simple enough, right? But that's just so clinical, it's barely scratching the surface of what it really means.
For most of us, it's really about this feeling, isn't it? The idea of creating a home away from home. It's this warm, emotional concept, providing comfort and safety to people who are far from their own. And that's the story we're usually told about where this whole industry came from.
Yeah, the familiar history usually goes something like this. It all started with these super basic inns back in biblical times. Maybe just a bench in a room full of people and animals. Then it slowly got a bit better with Roman roadside lodges. And even as recently as 19th century America, you might find yourself sharing a bed with a total stranger who, according to Moby Dick, might even be a cannibal. The whole idea is that it was just a simple act of kindness that slowly, gradually became a business.
But what if that whole story, that nice, simple progression, is, as one academic source puts it, just fanciful rhetoric? What if we've been telling ourselves a fairy tale? So let's flip the script. Let's ask a different question. What if the business of hospitality, I'm talking a structured, commercial, regulated industry, hasn't just been around for a few centuries, but for thousands and thousands of years?
So, you've got two very different stories here. On the one hand, there's the common tale of simple kindness that eventually turned into a business. And then, on the other hand, we have this ancient reality, backed by some pretty solid evidence, a distinct commercial industry governed by actual laws that has existed for at least 4 millennia.
Yep, you heard that right. 4,000 years. The evidence points to a commercial hospitality industry that's not just a couple hundred years old, but one of our oldest. Let's dig in.
Our first stop takes us way, way back to ancient Mesopotamia, around 2000 BC. And here we find some of the first written laws in human history. And guess what they were about? Not just murder or property, but running a good, honest tavern.
You're looking at the famous Code of Hammurabi. And carved right into this ancient stone are some of the world's first ever regulations for local hospitality businesses, the inns and taverns that were essential spots for travelers.
And these laws were intense. Seriously, get this. If a tavern keeper watered down their beer, the punishment was death by drowning. They were also legally required to snitch on any criminals who were customers or face death themselves. And priestesses, if they were even caught entering an inn, they were to be burned alive. This shows that this wasn't some casual, unregulated thing. It was a serious, high-stakes business.
But it wasn't all doom and gloom and death penalties. This ancient Mesopotamian hymn shows that governments also got how important good hospitality was for society. They actually built state-run hostels, or big houses, along major roads to make sure that travelers and traders, the lifeblood of the economy, had safe places to rest.
Okay, let's jump forward in time to our next piece of evidence. And for this, we have to thank the Roman Empire and a little volcano called Mount Vesuvius. Because in 79 AD, it preserved an entire city's hospitality industry for us under a blanket of ash in Pompeii.
And this map just says it all, doesn't it? Look at that dense cluster of businesses right there near Pompeii's administrative center. These weren't just randomly scattered around. No, this was a planned, sophisticated service sector, a genuine hospitality district right in the heart of the city.
What's wild is how familiar this all looks. The Roman market was already highly specialized, a lot like it is today. A hospitium? That was your hotel. A stabula, which had stables for animals, was basically their version of a motel or a coaching inn. A popina was a restaurant, and a taberna, that was your local bar. They had a diverse market, catering to all sorts of different travelers and budgets.
And we can even peek inside one of these places. This is the floor plan of a Roman taberna, a bar. You can see the classic L-shaped counter for serving food and drinks, a little seating area, and a kitchen in the back. This was a purpose-built commercial space designed for business.
And the little details are just fascinating. Pompeii was a city of about 10,000 people, but it had around 160 bars and restaurants. Archaeologists have found bakeries with loaves of bread, fossilized, still sitting in the ovens. One hotel was big enough to sleep over 50 guests. And in that same hotel, they found graffiti of the word Christianos, one of the earliest known mentions of Christians, just scribbled on a hotel wall.
All right, let's shift gears and travel east to one of the most important trade routes in all of history, the Silk Road. For that kind of global commerce to even work, you needed a massive hospitality network.
And the backbone of that network was the caravanserai. These were these huge, fortified roadside inns, basically giant hospitality complexes that provided safe shelter for merchants, their animals, and all their valuable goods. Without them, the Silk Road simply could not have existed.
And these places often ran on a really smart system called the 3-day rule. A traveler could often get free lodging for up to 3 days. After that, any more help was considered charity, and it was actually seen as rude for a guest to overstay their welcome and become a burden. It was this brilliant blend of commerce, tradition, and social responsibility all rolled into one. And when I say these places were massive, I am not kidding. Just look at the floor plan of this caravanserai from Iran. It had everything: stables, a mill for grain, a mosque for prayer, a bathhouse, and a whole range of rooms from basic spots to luxurious suites. This wasn't just an inn, it was a full-service travel hub, essential infrastructure for global trade. So, after this whirlwind tour through Mesopotamia, Rome, and the Silk Road, what does it all mean? Well, it means we really need to rethink the entire heritage of hospitality.
Here's the most important takeaway. The business of hospitality didn't just grow out of personal kindness. It's not like one evolved into the other. The two have always existed side by side. For as long as humans have welcomed strangers into their homes, we have also had a distinct, powerful, commercial industry built to do the very same thing.
For at least 4,000 years, this industry has literally shaped our world. It's influenced our very first legal codes. It's formed the economic heart of ancient cities like Pompeii. It's fueled massive global trade networks like the Silk Road. And it has generated huge amounts of revenue for governments, entrepreneurs, and entire communities. For 4 millennia, the business of welcoming strangers has connected people, cultures, and economies. It's one of our oldest and most essential commercial ventures. So the real question isn't just what's next for the hospitality industry, but what's next for the world that it helps build and connect.